The universe has a peculiar sense of humor. Take this moment. For instance, here I am, Admiral Vextorian of the Galactic Concordat, recording the most embarrassing defeat in our 10,000-cycle military history. And who was responsible for this humiliation? A human. Not just any human. A station janitor. You cannot be serious, Supreme Commander Zalvar had growled when I first presented my report. A maintenance worker. One of those soft-skinned primates with their pathetic lifespans. I simply activated the security footage and watched his four eyes widen in disbelief. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning. My name is Vextorian. I command the 7th Fleet of the Concordat's Expansion Division. 3 solar cycles ago, we identified Deep Space Station Epsilon-12 as a perfect forward operating base for our campaign into the Orion Arm. The station was significant enough to serve our purposes, but sufficiently remote that taking it wouldn't immediately alert Earth defense forces. Our intelligence indicated minimal security. 15 armed personnel, standard automated defenses, and a civilian population of 83. The station was primarily a research outpost, with some commercial activity, refueling, trading, the usual frontier economy. Should be a simple operation, my second-in-command, Sub-Admiral Krell, had observed during our briefing. We will have control within 30 Earth minutes. Minimal casualties. I agreed. The plan was straightforward. Disable communications, neutralize security, secure the civilians, and establish control. We'd done it dozens of times across 3 sectors. When we dropped out of hyperspace near Epsilon-12, everything proceeded according to plan. Our EMP burst knocked out their long-range communications. Our boarding parties breached the station at 4 strategic points. Security personnel were quickly overwhelmed. Then everything went wrong. Admiral, Krell's voice crackled through my neural implant. We have lost contact with boarding team 3. I frowned. Equipment malfunction? Negative. Their vitals flatlined simultaneously. Before I could respond, another alert. Team 2 is under attack. They are reporting, wait, that can't be right. Report, Sub-Admiral. They are saying it's a single human, sir, armed with maintenance equipment. I remember laughing, a mistake. Within 20 Earth minutes we had lost all 4 boarding teams. 48 elite Concordat warriors. Gone. And security footage showed the same figure moving through the station, setting traps, ambushing our soldiers, using the station's architecture against us. Just one human, wearing a grey jumpsuit with the station logo, and Marcus Parker, maintenance printed on a badge. I deployed our second wave. 100 warriors, fully briefed on what they were facing. They failed too. Now I sit in my command chair, watching as this Janitor systematically dismantles the greatest military force in 3 spiral arms. And I'm recording this log because someone needs to understand what happened here. Parker. The name will be infamous in Concordat history. Marcus Parker wasn't having a great day even before the aliens attacked. The waste reclamation system on level 3 had backed up again. Dr. Reeves from Xenobiology had somehow managed to clog Toilet 7B with what looked suspiciously like alien algae samples. And to top it all off, the mess hall's auto chef was leaking mysterious purple fluid that smelled like burnt cinnamon. Parker to operations, he said into his comm unit, balancing precariously on a ladder while attempting to fix a malfunctioning air filtration panel. That's the 3rd time this month Reeves has been flushing samples. Can someone please remind the science team that toilets are for biological waste of the human variety only? Copy that, Parker, Operations Officer Timika Jones replied, amusement evident in her voice. I will send another memo. A memo? What we need is a mandatory training session, complete with graphic visuals of me unclogging their... The station shuddered violently. Parker grabbed the ladder as emergency lights flashed. What the hell was that? He demanded. No response. The comm was dead. 20 years of military service before taking this cushy retirement job meant Marcus recognized an attack when he felt one. He quickly gathered his tools and headed for the nearest security station. He found Security Officer Rivera slumped over the console, a strange crystalline dart protruding from his neck. "Damn," Parker whispered, checking for a pulse. Nothing. The security monitors showed the situation clearly. Humanoid figures in sleek armor were spreading throughout the station. They moved with precision, neutralizing security personnel first, then rounding up civilians. Parker had seen enough. He knew he couldn't save Rivera, but maybe he could save others. He grabbed Rivera's sidearm, checked the charge, and considered his options. What did he have? Knowledge of every maintenance shaft, access to all systems, and a toolbox. Ident, an alien invasion force. Parker smiled grimly. They should have attacked during someone else's shift. The human brain is a fascinating anomaly. While physically unimpressive compared to most sentient species, it possesses an unusual capacity for pattern recognition and adaptive problem solving. That's the scientific explanation for what happened next. My personal explanation: Parker was simply too stubborn to accept defeat. Our first boarding team encountered him near the station's central hub. According to their final transmission, they initially dismissed him as a non-threat. A maintenance worker, unarmed except for a metal tool of some kind. The footage shows Parker raising his hands in apparent surrender. Then, with unexpected speed, he swung what I later identified as a pipe wrench at the nearest warrior. The blow cracked the faceplate of Warrior Drez's helmet. As the others raised their pulse rifles, Parker kicked a panel beside him, releasing a cloud of fire-suppressant foam that temporarily blinded our warriors. By the time they could see again, Parker had disappeared into a narrow maintenance shaft. "Pursue and eliminate," ordered Team Leader Varks. That was the last command he ever gave. The maintenance shaft led to a junction box, where Parker had removed several floor panels, creating a pitfall into a waste processing chamber below. 3 warriors fell through before the others realized the trap. The processing unit had been activated. I will spare you the details of what industrial waste compactors do to organic bodies. The remaining team members regrouped and proceeded with more caution. Parker was waiting. He had rerouted power from the station's environmental systems, turning a section of corridor into an improvised electrical trap. 2 more warriors down. Team Leader Varks and the final warrior, Mex, pursued Parker into the station's kitchen area. The security footage shows Parker sliding across the floor on some sort of lubricant he had deployed, passing safely through. Varks and Mex followed, but lost their footing. As they struggled to stand, Parker activated the kitchen's automated food processors. The machines weren't designed as weapons, but with their safety protocols overridden and their cutting mechanisms exposed. I have had that part of the recording classified. Some things are too disturbing even for military archives. Parker moved through the ventilation system, mentally mapping the invaders' positions based on what he'd observed on the security monitors. "Think, Marcus, think," he muttered to himself. "Aliens. Hostile. Well-equipped. Military precision. This isn't a random attack." He needed to understand what he was facing. Knowledge was power, and right now, he needed all the power he could get. Parker made his way to the science lab, hoping to find survivors who might help identify the attackers. Instead, he found Katsaros, the station's xenobiologist, held at gunpoint by 2 aliens. "I have told you everything I know about human physiology," Katsaros was saying, voice trembling. "Please, I have cooperated." The taller alien gestured with what appeared to be a weapon. "The neural mapping data. Where is it stored?" "Neural mapping." Parker frowned. The station was conducting research on human brain patterns. But why would aliens care about that? "The data is encrypted," Katsaros replied. "Only the station AI can access it." "Then you will provide access to this AI." Parker had heard enough. He needed a distraction. Looking around the ventilation shaft, he spotted a canister of compressed gas used for sample preservation. Carefully, he positioned it near a heating element, then retreated around a bend in the shaft. The resulting explosion wasn't large, but it was enough. As the aliens turned toward the noise, Parker dropped from the ceiling vent, wrench in one hand, Rivera's pistol in the other. 2 quick shots. 2 aliens down. Dr. Katsaros, you okay? Parker asked, helping the scientist up. Parker, what are you doing here? Katsaros looked at the fallen aliens, then back at the janitor. Currently. Saving your ass. What's this about neural mapping data? Katsaros swallowed hard. It's classified, but we have been studying how human brains interface with artificial intelligence, creating more intuitive control systems for deep space exploration. And these guys want it. Why? I don't know. But humans have certain neurological features that are unique among known species. Our intuitive leaps, our ability to form connections between seemingly unrelated concepts. Save the lecture for later, Doc. We need to move. Parker grabbed a tablet from the lab bench. First, show me everything you know about these aliens. The second boarding team approached with more caution. Having been warned about the maintenance work, they moved in pairs, covering each other, checking every corner and shaft entrance. It didn't matter. Parker had used the time to prepare. The station's environmental controls became his weapons. In Section 4C, he increased the oxygen content to dangerous levels, then created a spark. 3 warriors were caught in the flash fire. In the medical bay, he reprogrammed surgical drones to identify our warriors' armor as tissue requiring removal. The results were precise. Most ingenious was his use of the station's waste disposal system. He reversed the pneumatic tubes designed to carry waste to the processing center, creating enough pressure to launch maintenance debris as projectiles. Bolts, pipes, and tools became lethal when propelled at sufficient velocity. This is impossible, Sub-Admiral Krell insisted as we watched the feeds. He's just a maintenance worker. I was beginning to understand something that Krell couldn't. Something fundamental about humans that our intelligence had missed. Parker wasn't just anything. The station's command center had been one of the first areas secured by the invaders. Captain Laurel Whitaker, Epsilon-12's commanding officer, was being interrogated by what appeared to be a higher-ranking alien. Let me be perfectly clear, Captain, the alien was saying in surprisingly good English. Your cooperation will determine whether your crew lives or dies. Whitaker, a 30-year Space Command veteran with a reputation for unshakable composure, simply stared back. I have told you repeatedly, Admiral, the neural mapping research is purely theoretical. We don't have practical applications yet. Your deception is futile. Our intelligence indicates. An alert sounded on one of the alien devices. The Admiral activated it, displaying a holographic image of the station. Red dots were blinking out one by one. What is happening? The alien demanded. A subordinate replied in their language, but Whitaker caught the translation through her neural implant. They were losing contact with more boarding parties. Impossible, the alien admiral said. How many security personnel does this station have? Whitaker allowed herself a small smile. Officially? 15. Then who is eliminating my warriors? If I had to guess. Whitaker's smile grew slightly wider. You have met Marcus Parker. The name clearly meant nothing to the alien commander. It should have. Parker had served 20 years in Earth's Special Forces, before retiring to what was supposed to be a quiet maintenance job on a research station. His personnel file listed multiple commendations for creative problem-solving under extreme duress. It also noted his specialization in something called MacGyver tactics, the art of weaponizing everyday objects. The file didn't mention his pathological hatred of bullies, whether they were human or alien. By the time I understood what we were dealing with, Parker had neutralized 60% of our forces. Not killed, neutralized. Many were trapped, incapacitated, or otherwise removed from the equation. Parker was being selective about lethal force, which somehow made it more terrifying. I ordered a full retreat. Sub-Admiral Krell objected. We cannot be defeated by a single human maintenance worker, he insisted. We already have been, I replied. Sound the retreat. Krell refused the order. Instead, he took a squad quad our remaining elite warriors and headed for the station's core, determined to complete the mission himself. I knew then that I had lost not only this battle but my second in command as well. Parker met Krell's squad in the hydroponics bay. The alien commander strutted in with 8 warriors, weapons raised, scanning for threats. Parker watched from his hiding place among the dense foliage of the station's food crops. "This human cannot stop us all," Krell declared. "Find him." Parker smiled. He had prepared this area specially, having recognized its strategic value early on. The hydroponics bay was essential to the station's life support. No one would risk destroying it, not even desperate aliens. As the warriors spread out, Parker activated his jury-rigged system. The nutrient spray nozzles throughout the bay began dispensing a mixture he had created from cleaning solutions and plant fertilizers, non-lethal but extremely disorienting to the aliens' sensory organs. The warriors staggered, their coordination compromised. Parker emerged from hiding, moving methodically, a wrench to one warrior's helmet, a precisely aimed shot at another's weapon, causing it to overload, a quick rewiring of a harvesting drone to entangle 2 more in capture nets, meant for sample collection. Krell managed to avoid the worst of the spray. He turned, firing wildly as Parker ducked behind a hydroponic tower. "Show yourself, human," Krell shouted. "Face me with honor." Parker's voice echoed through the bay. "Honor? You attacked a civilian research station. You killed unarmed people. We are at war. Nobody told us," Parker replied, his voice seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere. "But thanks for the notification. Consider this my response." Parker had positioned himself near the bay's irrigation control. With a quick adjustment, he redirected the emergency flush system. Thousands of gallons of water cascaded through the hydroponics bay, sweeping Krell and his remaining warriors off their feet. As they struggled against the current, Parker activated the bay doors leading to a cargo airlock. The water, along with the aliens, was swept into the chamber. Parker's voice came through the airlock comm. "This is the part where I'd normally flush you into space." Krell, sputtering and disarmed, glared at the human visible through the airlock window. "But I'm not like you," Parker continued. "So, instead, you are going to sit tight while I retake my station." He sealed the outer door, leaving the aliens trapped but alive in the drained airlock. I watched this encounter through our neural link with Krell when the connection terminated. Not through death, but simple equipment failure due to water damage. I knew the operation was unsalvageable. "Prepare for emergency extraction," I ordered. "We are leaving." "But Admiral," my tactical officer protested, "we still have warriors on the station, and they will be recovered or avenged later," I replied. "This battle is lost." As our remaining forces retreated to extraction points, something unexpected happened. The station's communications array, which we had disabled, suddenly activated. A message broadcast on all frequencies directed specifically at my command vessel. "This is Marcus Parker of Deep Space Station Epsilon-12, the voice announced. "I believe you are missing some personnel. They are alive, mostly unharmed, and very, very grumpy. I propose a trade." I authorized the communication channel. "This is Admiral Vextorian. What terms do you propose, human?" "Simple. You back off, send unarmed shuttles for your people, and never come back. In return, I don't space them, and I don't forward the detailed scans we have taken of your technology to Earth Defense Forces." It was a bluff. It had to be. The station's scanning capabilities couldn't have penetrated our vessel's stealth systems. Then Parker transmitted a data packet. It contained detailed schematics of our propulsion systems, weapons configurations, and, most alarmingly, the quantum entanglement patterns of our communication network. Impossible. Unless. The neural mapping research, I realized aloud. You have found a way to interface human intuition with machine precision. Parker's laugh came through the channel. "Now you are getting it, Admiral. Turns out, human brains are pretty good at making connections your algorithms miss. That's why you wanted our research, right? Too bad you didn't just ask nicely." I had no choice but to accept his terms. We sent unarmed shuttles to retrieve our surviving warriors, including the humiliated Krell. As my fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace, Parker transmitted one final message. addressed to me personally. "Next time you consider invading a human facility," he said, "remember this. The person you dismiss as just a janitor might be your most dangerous opponent. We are funny that way, and so I record this report for the Concordat archives. A single human maintenance worker defeated an elite invasion force, using nothing but station equipment, basic tools, and an irritatingly resourceful mind. The human, Parker, didn't just defeat us. He revealed a fundamental flaw in our understanding of humanity. We categorized them by their designated functions: scientist, soldier, leader, worker. We assumed a janitor would be no threat. We were wrong. Humans don't limit themselves to their designated roles. Their adaptability isn't just biological, it's psychological, cultural. I have recommended a complete re-evaluation of our strategies regarding human expansion. We underestimated them. One human, one janitor. I'm also requesting reassignment, preferably to a sector far from human space. Because if this is what their maintenance workers can do, I have no desire to encounter their actual soldiers. 6 months later, Concordat High Command. "You can't be serious," I said, staring at Fleet Commander Zuxile across his absurdly ornate desk. "You want me to go back?" Zuxile's facial membranes pulsed with irritation. "Not just back to human space, Admiral Vextarian. Back to Epsilon-12 specifically. I should have retired after the Parker incident, as it had come to be known in Concordat military circles. Instead, I'd spent the last 6 months analyzing everything we knew about humans, trying to understand how we had been so catastrophically wrong. May I ask why I managed to keep my voice steady? Our last encounter with that station was less than successful. Precisely why it must be you." Zuxile manipulated a holographic display, bringing up an image that made my primary heart stutter. "Marcus Parker. The human knows you, and now we need his help." I blinked all 4 of my eyes in rapid succession. His help, the maintenance worker who single-handedly defeated my entire invasion force. That help. "The Devourers have breached the Helios barrier," Zuxile said quietly. "They will reach human space within 3 stellar cycles." The news hit me like a gravitational hammer. The Devourers, ancient enemies of all sentient life. Planet-consuming horrors we thought safely contained beyond the energy barrier our ancestors had erected millennia ago. "The humans don't stand a chance," I whispered. "Neither do we, not alone." Zuxile's expression hardened. "High Command has authorized me to offer an alliance, and intelligence suggests the key to defeating the Devourers may lie in that neural mapping research. The very research we tried to steal." "Yes. Ironic, isn't it? Your mission is to return to Epsilon-12, not as a conqueror, but as a supplicant. Convince this Parker to help us. Because if you fail, Admiral, there won't be a galaxy left to fight over." I stared at Parker's image. The unassuming human who had humiliated the Concordat's finest warriors, the janitor who had outsmarted us all. "He will never trust me." "Then you'd better be very persuasive," Zuxile replied. "Your ship leaves in 6 hours. Marcus Parker whistled as he replaced the filtration unit in Hydroponics section. Life on Epsilon-12 had been refreshingly uneventful since the alien attack. Earth Defense Forces had upgraded the station's security systems, doubled the military personnel, and installed enough weaponry to take down a small fleet. Parker had been offered promotions, medals, even a desk job at Earth Defense headquarters. He'd turned them all down. "Just a janitor," he'd told Captain Whitaker when she'd pressed him to accept a security position. "That's all I want to be," of course. His definition of janitor had expanded somewhat. Now he ran regular security drills, taught improvised weapons classes to the civilian staff, and maintained not just the station's systems, but its new defensive capabilities as well. His comm unit beeped. "Parker here," he answered, closing the filtration panel. "Marcus, I need you in command." Captain Whitaker's voice was tense. Now, something in her tone sent a familiar surge of adrenaline through his system. "On my way." When he arrived at the command center, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Security officers stood at high alert. Whitaker was staring at the main view screen, with an expression Parker couldn't quite read. "What's going on, Captain?" She turned to him, her face grim. "We have got company." Parker looked at the screen. A single ship had appeared at the edge of their sensor range. The design was instantly recognizable. "The Concordat," he said flatly. "They are back." "Just one ship this time," Whitaker replied. "And they are broadcasting on all frequencies, requesting permission to approach under a flag of truce." "It's a trick." "Maybe." Whitaker handed him a data pad. "But their message is concerning. They are asking for you specifically." Parker scrolled through the transmission. His eyebrows rose higher with each line. "The Devourers, Alliance. Neural mapping?" He looked up. "This sounds like the plot of a bad holovid." "I have cross-referenced with Earth defense databases," Whitaker said. "There are ancient records, mostly dismissed as myths, about entities called World Eaters that once threatened this sector, and long-range sensors have detected something unusual beyond the Helios cluster." Parker handed back the pad. "So what do you want me to do?" "Talk to them. The ship's commander is requesting a face-to-face meeting. With you." "Let me guess. Admiral Vextorian?" Whitaker nodded. "The very same." Parker couldn't help but laugh. "The universe has a strange sense of humor, doesn't it? We will have security protocols at maximum. One shuttle, unarmed, with the Admiral and 2A. The meeting will take place in Conference Room Alpha, with full surveillance and armed guards." "No," Parker said, surprising himself. "I will meet him in the maintenance bay. Just the two of us." "Marcus, that's not protocol." Neither was taking on an alien invasion force with a pipe wrench. "But here we are." Parker smiled grimly. "If he's coming to trick us, it won't matter how many guards you post. And if he's telling the truth, well, I want to see his face when he steps into my territory." Whitaker considered him for a long moment, then nodded. "Your call, but I'm putting a security team on standby, just outside." "Fair enough." Parker turned to leave, then paused. "And Captain, have Dr. Katsaros prepare a briefing on the neural mapping research. The real version, not the classified garbage." "You think we might actually share it with them?" Parker shrugged. "If there really are planet-eating monsters heading our way, I think we might not have a choice." The maintenance bay was not what I expected. Based on my experience with Parker, I had anticipated a cluttered, chaotic space filled with the tools he had so effectively weaponized against my forces. Instead, I found myself in an immaculately organized facility. Tools hung on labeled wall mounts. Equipment was arranged with mathematical precision. Diagnostic screens displayed the status of every system on the station, and in the center of it all stood Marcus Parker, wearing the same gray jumpsuit with the same name badge, leaning casually against a workbench. "Admiral," he said by way of greeting. "Nice of you to drop by without bringing an invasion force this time." My translator rendered his tone as sarcastically cordial. "An accurate assessment. Maintenance worker Parker," I replied with a formal bow. "I appreciate you agreeing to this meeting." "Just Parker is fine. Or Marcus. I'm not big on titles." He gestured to a pair of seats at the workbench. One was clearly designed for human proportions, the other adjusted for my larger frame. "Have a seat. Explain to me why I shouldn't just throw you out an airlock for what happened last time." I settled into the chair, noting that it had been perfectly calibrated for Concordat physiology. "Because the fate of both our species depends on what happens in the next few moments." "That's a big claim." "It is." I activated a holographic projector I had brought. "Are you familiar with the Devourers?" Parker's expression remained neutral. "Can't say that I am." The hologram displayed historical records, sensor readings, and simulations. "They are an ancient species, if you can call them that, more like a collective consciousness that consumes all organic and technological material in its path, incorporating it into itself." Sounds charming. They nearly wiped out all sentient life in this galaxy 12,000 years ago. The combined forces of the elder races managed to drive them back beyond the Helios barrier, a massive energy field designed to contain them. "And now they are back," Parker guessed. "Yes. The barrier is failing. Our scientists estimate complete collapse within 3 stellar cycles. When that happens, they will spread throughout the galaxy. No single species can stop them, not even the Concordat. Parker studied the holographic data with surprising intensity. I noticed his eyes moving rapidly, connecting points of information, drawing conclusions. So you need allies, he said finally, and you came to the humans. The same humans you were trying to conquer 6 months ago. Yes. Why? There are other species, presumably more advanced than us. Why humans? I had practiced this part, knowing it would be the most difficult to explain, because of your neural mapping research. The Devourers operate on a hive mind principle, but with quantum entanglement properties we barely understand. Your work on human-AI integration might provide the key to disrupting their collective consciousness. Parker laughed. So you tried to steal it, failed miserably, and now you are asking nicely? That's rich. I am not asking for the research, I clarified. I am asking for your help in applying it, as part of an equal alliance. And why should I believe you? I reached slowly into my uniform and removed a small device. Because I brought you this. Parker tensed visibly as I placed the object on the table between us. It's a quantum entanglement node, I explained. One of 27 that synchronize the Concordat's entire military network. With this, your people could potentially disable our defenses, intercept our communications, even override our ship controls. His eyes widened slightly. You are giving us a master key to your entire civilization, as a gesture of trust and desperation. I leaned forward. The Devourers don't invade, Parker. They don't conquer. They consume everything. If they break through the barrier, there won't be humans or Concordat. There will only be them. Parker picked up the quantum node, examining it carefully. This is either the most elaborate trap in history, or you are genuinely terrified. Both can be true, I admitted. I fear you almost as much as I fear them. You, a simple maintenance worker, defeated my best warriors using nothing but your ingenuity and knowledge of your environment. Imagine what your species could do with our technology. And yet here you are. Here I am. I spread my forearms in a gesture of openness, because I have seen what one human can do when backed into a corner, and I would rather have you as allies than face extinction alone. Parker studied the alien admiral. 6 months ago, Vextorian had commanded an invasion force intent on taking the station by force. Now he sat here, offering an alliance against a threat that sounded almost mythological, and yet the quantum node on the table between them was very real. Parker had enough technical knowledge to understand its value. This wasn't just an olive branch, it was handing over the keys to the kingdom. Let's say I believe you, Parker said finally. What exactly are you proposing? A joint task force, Vextorian replied. Your neural mapping experts working with our quantum physicists. Your intuitive problem solving combined with our technological capabilities and command structure. You expect humans to just fall in line under Concordat officers? I expect nothing of the sort. Vextorian's facial membranes rippled in what Parker had come to recognize as amusement. In fact, High Command has suggested that you personally be appointed as Joint Commander of the operation. Parker nearly choked. Me? I'm a janitor. You are the human who defeated an elite Concordat invasion force using maintenance equipment and superior tactical thinking. Your reputation among my people is significant. You have got to be kidding. I assure you I am not. The Concordat respects strength and intelligence. You demonstrated both. My superiors believe your unique perspective might be exactly what we need to combat the Devourers. Parker ran a hand through his hair, thinking. I need to consult with Earth Defense Command, and I want our scientists to verify everything you have told me about these Devourers. Of course. And if we do this, it's a true partnership, equal sharing of technology, resources, and decision-making. Agreed. Vextorian hesitated, then added, there is one more thing, Parker. The task force would operate from a joint command vessel. You would need to leave this station. Parker looked around the maintenance bay, his domain. For 6 months since the attack, he'd found comfort in the routine, in fixing things, in making sure Epsilon-12 ran smoothly. The thought of leaving made his stomach clench. But if Vextorian was telling the truth, I need to see the evidence, Parker said firmly. All of it. And I need to talk to my people. But if these devourers are real, and if our neural mapping research can help, I will consider it. Vextorian's posture relaxed visibly. That is all I can ask. 3 days later, Parker stood in Captain Whitaker's office, staring out the viewport at the Concordat vessel that continued to maintain its position near the station. The data checks out, Dr. Katsaros was saying. Earth defense scientists have confirmed it. The Helios barrier is failing, and sensor readings match historical records of devourer activity. So, they are telling the truth, Whitaker said. Appears that way. Parker turned from the viewport. And our neural mapping research, Katsaros nodded enthusiastically. The theoretical applications are fascinating. If the devourers operate on a quantum-entangled hive mind as the Concordat data suggests, our human-AI interface protocols might actually create disruption patterns in their collective consciousness. In English, Doc, we might be able to give them a massive headache, enough to disable them temporarily and permanently. Katsaros hesitated. That would require a delivery mechanism, a way to introduce the disruption pattern directly into their primary consciousness node, which would mean finding it first, Whitaker added, and getting close enough to use it. Parker finished. Suicide mission. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Earth Defense has approved the alliance, Whitaker said finally. They are sending a delegation to formalize the agreement. The joint task force is a go. Parker nodded slowly. And my role? That's up to you, Marcus. Whitaker's expression softened. No one would blame you for staying here. You have done more than enough already. Parker thought about it, thought about the comfortable routine he'd established. The security of knowing every inch of the station. The satisfaction of keeping things running smoothly. Then he thought about the devourers, about what would happen to Epsilon-12, to Earth, to every living thing in the galaxy, if they weren't stopped. When does the task force ship out? He asked. Whitaker smiled. I thought you might say that. 2 days. Plenty of time to pack your tool. Just one tool, Parker replied, patting the pipe wrench hanging from his belt. This old girl and I have a history now. 1 month later. Joint Command Vessel Harmony. I found Parker in the ship's maintenance bay. Naturally. Despite his official title as Joint Task Force Commander, he spent most of his off-duty hours there, tinkering with the ship's systems, making improvements, learning every duct and panel. Old habits, as humans say. Commander, I greeted him. The tactical meeting begins in 30 minutes. Parker didn't look up from the panel he was modifying. I know. I will be there. I hesitated, then asked the question that had been bothering me since our alliance began. May I ask you something, Parker? Shoot. Why did you agree to this? After what the Concordat did to your station, to your colleagues, why trust us at all? Parker finally looked up, his expression thoughtful. You know what the key to being a good maintenance worker is? Admiral, I cannot say that I do. Understanding systems, seeing how all the parts connect, figuring out what happens when one component affects another. He stood, wiping his hands on a cloth. When you showed up asking for help, I realized something. We are all just components in a bigger system. The galaxy. Life itself. A philosophical perspective. Practical, actually. Parker shrugged. The way I see it, we can hold grudges while the devourers eat everything. Or we can work together and maybe, just maybe, keep this whole system running. I found myself nodding. A maintenance perspective on galactic survival. Fitting. Besides, Parker added with that strange human expression they call a grin, I have always wanted to see how alien technology works. Now I get to take apart Concordat systems with permission. Not all systems. I clarified quickly. Parker laughed. We will see, Admiral. We will see. As we walked together toward the tactical meeting, I reflected on the strange journey that had brought us here. From enemies to allies, from conqueror and defender to colleagues. All because we had dismissed a human as just a janitor. Perhaps the greatest weapon against the Devourers would not be our quantum technology or human neural mapping, but something simpler, the ability to see value where others see only function, to recognize that sometimes the most dangerous person in the room is the one you least suspect, the one with the pipe wrench and the knowledge of how everything connects. 3 months later, edge of the Helios barrier. The Devourer consciousness pressed against the failing energy barrier, sensing the feast beyond. Trillions of life forms, countless civilizations, all waiting to be consumed, absorbed, added to the collective. Soon, the barrier weakened further, with each passing moment. Then, something unexpected. A small vessel approached the barrier from the other side. The Devourers sensed the life forms aboard. Multiple species working in concert. Curious. More curious still was the signal emanating from the vessel. A pattern, rhythmic, almost familiar. The pattern touched the Devourer consciousness, resonated with it. Then, pain. For the first time in millennia, the collective felt pain. Confusion, individual thoughts where there should be only unity. Aboard the vessel, Parker watched the readings with intense concentration. It's working. The disruption pattern is affecting their quantum field. Temporary effect only, Dr. Katsaros warned. The collective is already adapting. Then we move to phase 2. I ordered. Prepare the delivery drone. Parker nodded. Grimly. I still say I should be the one to pilot it. We have been through this, I reminded him. The drone has a better chance of reaching the primary node undetected, and we need you here to maintain the disruption field. Maintain, Parker muttered. Always maintenance with me. The drone launched, carrying a quantum payload, designed to permanently disrupt the Devourer consciousness. A suicide mission, as Parker had predicted months ago. Drone approaching barrier breach. The tactical officer reported. Devourers responding. We watched as tendrils of energy reached for the drone. The disruption field weakened as the collective began to compensate for our attack. We are losing the effect, Katsaros warned. The drone won't make it. Parker suddenly straightened. The maintenance shaft. Admiral, what if we route the disruption signal through the ship's maintenance ducts? The metal alloy might amplify the pattern. That's not how quantum disruption works, Katsaros objected. Maybe not in theory, Parker replied, already moving to a control panel. But systems don't always work the way they are supposed to. Sometimes you need to jury-rig a solution. Before anyone could stop him, Parker had rerouted the disruption signal through the ship's maintenance system. The effect was immediate. The signal strength doubled, then tripled. On the view screen, the Devourer tendrils recoiled. The drone slipped through the barrier breach, racing toward the pulsing heart of the collective. Impact in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A flash of energy erupted from within the Devourer mass. The collective writhed, its unified pattern fragmenting into billions of disconnected pieces. It worked, Katsaros exclaimed. The primary node is destroyed. The collective consciousness is breaking down. Parker leaned back against a console, a satisfied smile on his face. Just needed a little maintenance. I approached him as the crew celebrated around us. You have saved us all, Parker. Humans. Concordat. Every species in the galaxy. He shrugged. Just doing my job, Admiral. Maintaining the galaxy. Something like that. Parker patted the pipe wrench at his belt. Though I have to say, this is the biggest system I have ever fixed. As our ship turned away from the dissolving remains of the Devourers, I reflected on the lesson the Concordat had learned at great cost. Never underestimate a species that sees beyond designated roles. Never dismiss someone as just anything. And most importantly, never, ever threaten a station maintained by Marcus Parker. Some janitors, it seems, are destined to save the galaxy.